All of this depends on two key factors. Production, can it be ramped up sufficiently? And also delivery, will it be smooth in this massive operation? This comes as government advisors say it's better to delay giving second doses so that more people can quickly get a first dose and at least have some protection. But Pfizer says this idea hasn't been tested for its vaccine, and some leading scientists want more research.
I think it's so important that with this decision that's been made, that there are actually scientific studies that go on to look at the effect of delaying the second dose. I personally think that it may well produce as good or better an immune response, but we really need to study it.
Sites like this offer hope of a way out of the pandemic. The challenge now is making sure the vaccines get used as effectively as possible. David Shukman, BBC News.
Let's take a brief look at some of the day's other top stories now. And Islamist militants have attacked 2 villages in the West African state of Niger, killing at least 70 people. Reports say the gunmen arrived on motorbikes. Special forces have now been sent to the area in the Tillaberi region. There have been a number of jihadist attacks there in recent months by groups based across the border in Mali. The former leader of the Real IRA, Michael McKevitt, has died. He was 71 and had previously been diagnosed with cancer. He was one of 4 men found liable for the Omagh bombing in 1998, which killed 29 people and unborn twins. It was the worst single atrocity of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. Rescue workers have recovered a 5th body after a landslide buried homes in a village in southern Norway on Wednesday. It happened in Ask, about 15 miles from the capital Oslo. 5 other people are still missing. Now, in the last few minutes, it's been announced that the Gerry and the Pacemakers frontman, Gerry Marsden, has died. He was 78. He's perhaps best known for his hit You'll Never Walk Alone, which has been sung by Liverpool football fans on the terraces for decades. Daniela Ralph looks back at his life.
Gerry Marsden. With one unforgettable anthem, he was as much a part of Liverpool's story as the Mersey Ferry and the Anfield Kop. Born in Toxteth, his career began at the legendary Cavern Club in the early 60s. Gerry and his band The Pacemakers were spotted by Beatles manager Brian Epstein, who gave them a song that had been turned down by the Fab Four and Adam Faith. How Do You Do It was a huge hit on both sides of the Atlantic.
We never heard ourselves on tape before, and it got to #1, and we were very pleased. The Beatles were upset, and so was Adam, I think.
The girls are at the top of their screaming form if the reception they give to Gerry and the Pacemakers is anything to go by.
More followed as the Mersey beat swept the world. But it was as a singer of gentle ballads for which he'll be remembered. Ferry Across the Mersey was a nostalgic expression of his love for Liverpool. And then, with the songs from a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, Gerry Marsden struck a chord with fans at his beloved Anfield. The band may have split up in 1966, but as he proved nearly half a century later, at the 25th anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster, musically and emotionally, he'll always be a part of the heart and soul of the club.
Gerry Marsden, who's died at the age of 78. And that's it. I'll be back with the late news at 10. Now on BBC One. Time for the news where you are. Bye for now.
Hello there. there, good evening. GPs in the southeast say some surgeries have had their vaccination orders cancelled due to changes from central government. Patients due their second dose will now have to wait 12 weeks instead of 3. And one Kent councillor spoke to our reporter Ian Palmer about vaccination black holes, where thousands have yet to be called at all.
The Oxford vaccine delivered in Haywards Heath in Sussex. The government says millions of people will receive the jab by April. But some residents in Kent question why no one in the area of Hawkhurst has yet received the vaccine to combat the potentially deadly virus.
I just want somebody to get on with it and get us vaccinated. And the cities always get it first, and yeah, they've got the highest rates of infection, but we get infected too. We are lives. We need to be protected.
Doctors here say they don't know when they'll receive any vaccine.
We're frustrated, and we'll try and get on with it as soon as we can. And we've shown when we've administered flu vaccines, we can get through several hundred in a day.
There's also growing confusion following the changes to the rollout programme. The government says people who've received their first dose now have to wait 12 weeks for their second jab instead of 21 days.
It's just a shame that they changed everything. Why they couldn't have just left what we've got in place at the moment for the next 2 weeks and then changed it. Say, look, we want you to change it in 2 weeks' time rather than we want you to change now.
The first working day following Christmas and New Year is always busy for GP surgeries. Tomorrow, the demand on primary care providers is likely to hit unprecedented levels. Ian Palmer, BBC South East Today, Hawkhurst.
The leader of Kent County Council has written to the Education Secretary urging him to keep all primary schools in the county closed for another 2 weeks. Brighton and Hove City Council this weekend advised all its primaries against opening tomorrow. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson says schools are safe and says parents should send their children as long as they're open. Delays to refuse collections are set to continue for thousands of Kent residents. Councils in Maidstone and Sevenoaks say their services should return to normal this week, but Canterbury City Council warns of up to a month of disruption as their contractor, Serco, has had staffing issues due to COVID, and their contract ends later this month.
We've got our hands pretty full with the changeover and the end of a contract and all the issues that an end of a contract can bring with it ending. We're not going to be the top of the pick for extra help coming towards us from the contractors that are currently there.
Now, despite fears of chaos in Dover, hauliers are reporting a very quiet New Year so far. It's good news for producers here in the southeast who've welcomed the Brexit deal, but the Farmers Union says it's not quite frictionless trade. Peter Whittlesey reports.
Pre-pandemic, English wine exports were a sparkling success story, sales doubling in 2019. But producers fear Brexit red tape could take the fizz out of their market share in Europe.
The absence of tariffs is really good, but it's the non-tariff barriers that are going to be the problem. There's a huge increase in the amount of paperwork that we'll have to get through and different processes to go through, which we reckon are going to add about 10 to 15% to the cost of sending a pallet abroad. That takes away any profit margin we have.
Fox & Fox of Mayfield has outscored Champagne in blind tastings. Now their award-winning sparkling wine will have to be tested before it's exported to ensure it meets European standards. The National Farming Union says a wide variety of fresh produce bound for the continent will be subject to similar checks post-Brexit.
The whole agricultural, food sector is going to have to adjust. We have to prove to the import and export authorities that we have the correct safety measures and certifications in place, and inevitably it involves delays and therefore cost.
No one from the government was available for comment, but producers urge ministers to renegotiate non-tariff barriers as quickly as possible to make British agriculture more competitive in Europe. Peter Whittlesey, BBC South East Today, Mayfield.
In the Premier League, Brighton and Hove Albion fought back to earn a point against Wolves in a 6-goal drama at the Amex. Aaron Connolly opened the scoring, but Wolves went 3-1 up in the first half, defender Dan Burn netting an own goal. Neil Maupay scored from the spot straight after the break, and Lewis Dunk then drew the Seagulls level. They now sit 3 points above the relegation zone. In League One, Gillingham lost 1-0 to Plymouth Argyle, and Crawley Town moved further up the League Two table with a 1-0 victory over Bolton. OK, well, let's take a look at the weather now. Here's Elizabeth Rizzini.
Hello, good evening. It's another chilly night tonight. There'll still be more showers feeding through on that northeasterly wind, and temperatures will drop very close to freezing, driest out towards the west. But tomorrow, that northeasterly wind strengthens further and the showers will push further westwards. They could turn a bit sleety, a bit wintry perhaps over the tops of the downs and over higher ground in general, but for the most part they should fall as rain. Top temperatures tomorrow between 3 and 6 degrees Celsius. Plenty of added wind chill, and as we head through the rest of the week, very little changes. Further showers at times, some wintry and staying cold.
OK, that's all from us for now. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Good evening. The first weekend of 2021 has been a cold and, for some of us, a wintry one. We haven't all seen the sleet and the snow, particularly in the south. This was the scene as the sun set in Hemsworth a little bit earlier on this evening. Over the next couple of days and really through the week ahead, the weather is not going to be changing very much. It's staying cold for the time of year. There'll be a mix of some rain, some sleet, some snow and a bit of sunshine thrown into the mix as well. We've still got some showers to contend with through the rest of this evening and overnight, particularly for parts of eastern Scotland, northeast England as well. These could be wintry over the higher ground, could be some wintriness through the central belt, so a risk of ice for some northeastern areas. Further south, temperatures just about staying above freezing down towards the southeast, but as low as around about -6 or -7 for the northwest. So through the day tomorrow then, we keep this northeasterly breeze, and that's going to drive further showers in, particularly for East Anglia, the southeast, down towards the Channel Islands, some of that rain quite heavy at times. 1 or 2 showers further north, wintry over the higher ground, but they're quite few and far between. There'll be some sunshine around, but it will be windy with gusts about 30 to 40 miles per hour down towards the south. So temperatures only at about 4 to 6 degrees. It will feel colder than that when you add on that wind chill with the northeasterly breeze. So no great change into Tuesday. Again, we've got some rain across parts of the southeast of England and for the Channel Islands as well. Sunny spells and a few scattered wintry showers elsewhere. And it is staying cold for the time of year with temperatures at 3 to 6 degrees. Bye-bye.
When confronted by a mystery whodunit, hey guys, do you not seriously think that